Hey guys, this is Naveen here. Welcome back to Naveen Automation Labs and back to our Playwright framework series. So in the page object model with the Playwright, what we have seen last time in the first video, we have actually created one Playwright factory.java. We have created one initial page.java that was a home page.java, if you remember that we created that. And then we have created one test class also, the home page test class also. And we have written some test cases. Right, if you quickly see that this is my home page, this is my home page test.java and multiple test cases that we have written, and we are calling the methods from the home page, and we were asserting inside the test class over here. Perfect. So this is what we have seen so far. And then if you go to the playwright factory.java, we have written only one method. This is Initialize Browser method, which is saying that give me the browser name, and then on the basis of that it will initialize the page and the browser accordingly. And once the browser is initialized, from the browser we are creating a page, launching the URL and then returning the page over here. And then from the test class we were actually creating the object of playwright factory, calling this initialize browser method, and then creating the object of page class, calling the page class methods, and then asserting on the basis of that whatever that we are getting. Right, so far it's very simple, very straightforward design, and then pretty amazing design that we have seen so far. Now let's see how to automate the next thing. So a couple of things. First of all, that we have to improve the code in terms of that we have to maintain the config.properties, because right now the browser URL, username, password, everything that we are maintaining in the form of hard-coded values. So we have to maintain in the config.properties. And then we have to create certain method like initialize property method also in our playwright factory.java. So this is the two important things that we are going to cover today. And then we will try to create one BaseTest.java also, so that we can just move all the boilerplate code to the BaseTest.java. So let's see how to do this. Okay. So first we are going to create one configuration properties. So configuration properties, guys, you have to create not under src main java or under src test java. These are my resources. So I have to create my, for example, src test resources resource folder that I have to create. So right click on your project, go to new, and then you create one source folder, and the source folder name something like this, src/test, and then you can say resources. Under this particular test resources, so what you do, right click and then you create a folder. So let's create a folder here. So whenever you have to create a Java files, then Java files should be maintained in a particular package. But whenever you have to create some resources like XML file or Excel file or any properties file, that you have to create a folder here. So let's say this is my config folder that I have created. Under this config folder, I'm going to create a file. The file name I'm going to create, let's say config.properties file that we have created here. And under this particular config.properties, we have to maintain the properties. The first property, for example, browser is equal to Chrome that I want to run. Second property that I can mention that what is the URL of the application. So URL of the application is what? This is the URL of the application that we have to use it. Sorry, here, right? And then what is the username and the password that you are going to use. So certain username password that we are going to use, okay, in the automation framework, in our script. And then after that we have to read this particular properties. So how to read that later on? Let's see if you really want to run the test cases in the headless mode or not. So right now let's see headless is equal to false. So we have to read certain properties like that. So how will you read that? So we are going to do one thing in the playwright.java, factory.java, or maybe you can create a separate class also for that. But let's say I'm going to create another method in this particular factory class. In this particular factory class, I'm going to create my method. For example, let's see public void initialize prop method that I'm going to use. This method is helping me to initialize the properties. So you can write /* enter. I'll simply write this method is used to, okay, initialize the properties. I'll write it like this, properties from config file, something like this that I have written. Okay, like this. Now which class that we have to use it for this? So here we have to create the object of file input stream class. So let's create that. So I'm going to create, this is my file input stream class. Create the object of this. So I'm going to write file input stream IP is equal to new file input stream, that I'm going to use it here. And then here you have to give the path of that particular file input. The config file that you have created. So this is my config.properties file. You simple right click, go to properties and copy the path from src test resources. Okay. And what you do, you simple the paste over here and then put a semicolon. Okay. And before src, what you just need to write, put a dot and then 1// you have to write it. So that under my project, go to src test resources, go to the config folder and config.properties is available there. Okay. And this will give you one surround by try exception. It will give you what if the file is not available. So it will ask you to handle with the file not found exception as well. Perfect. Now after that, what should I do? I have to create the object of properties class also, so that we can load all these properties. So at the class level, I'll do one thing. I'm going to create one properties prop object reference that I'm going to create. And this properties, you just need to do one thing, just import this from java.util, and the say prop reference, I'm going to use it over here. And then I'm going to create the object of this class is equal to new properties. So this is actually coming from Java. This properties class is actually used to load the properties from the file input stream class object. So what you just need to do, you just simply write prop.load method, and from the IP object that you have created, so what will happen, this file input stream will make the connection with the config.properties, and then it will load all the properties in the form of key and value pair format that you have written over here. All the properties will be given to this prop object reference. And then while loading, if any kind of exception or something is coming, you can just add one more catch clause here. So with one single try, we can have multiple catch clauses here like this. And then once this is done, I simply say, okay, fine. Then you return the prop from here. So instead of void, what should I write? Because we are returning the prop, so we have to give the properties reference, properties class over here in the form of return. Right, so instead of void, I have to write properties. So when someone is calling this particular method, it will initialize the properties and it will return this particular prop object over here. Perfect. So this is a simple method that we have created now. Now what we will do, we will do one thing, that as per the design, that every test class is actually extending the BaseTest.java also. So we have to create one BaseTest.java as well. Right, so I'll do one thing, that I'm going to go to under src test java. I'm going to create a separate package for that, and then I'm going to write com.qa.opencart.base, and under this particular base package, I'm going to create a new class, and the class name I'm going to write BaseTest Class, and then click on finish. This particular BaseTest class is actually having two methods. One is @before and one is @after. It means all the preconditions, and after the test cases, what exactly you want to do, that code you have to write it over here, so that every class, every testNG class that we are going to create in our framework will be using the same before method and after method. It means same setup method and tear down method. Great. So I'll do one thing, that homepage test that we have created here, right? This one, I'm just moving it from here. I don't want to use it over here. Just you cut it from here and then go back to the base test. Move it to the base test, and then these references also I'll just copy from here. So I don't want to use these references over here, just cut it and you just use the references here. Same thing, I'll do one thing, that this @after test also, you cut it from here and then come back and then use it over here. And I'll do one thing, this home page test is actually doing what? This home page test is actually extending the base test. Okay. And the base test that you just need to import, because it's coming from a different package. So just import that. So this is also done. Right. But this is giving you error because it's saying, okay, fine, this home page is not visible to me. So where exactly the references got created? The reference got created under base test, and this is the reference. But we have to make this reference, either you can make it private, you can make it public or protected also. So I'll do one thing, only within the same package, and then the child class can access that. So I can do one thing, I'm going to use it, the protected keyword over here. and then you simple save it. So what will happen, see this, now the error is gone. And always remember, whenever you are removing some code, and check unnecessary imports if you have written, if you're getting over here with the yellow line warnings, remove these unnecessary imports. It means you have to organize the imports. So simple click on this yellow icon and click on organize imports, and then all unnecessary imports will be deleted. Perfect. So see this is the code that we have written last time. So we just need to concentrate on your test cases. That's it. Test cases means at the test annotation, you just need to write it directly. You are extending from the base test, and inside the base test, what exactly we are doing, we are maintaining two references, Playwright factory and the page, and then we are creating the object of this guy, and then initializing the browser, right? But now what we have to do with the help of this Playwright factory object reference, we have to call the initialize property method. Why initialize property method? Because the properties are actually coming from where? Coming from this particular config.properties. So what we have to do, we have to call this particular method initialize property method, and this initialize property method will interact with this config.properties file. It will load all the properties in this particular prop object, and it will return the same prop object. So can I do one thing? If it is returning the same prop object, I can store inside the prop reference over here. So I'll do one thing. Okay, I'm going to create one properties prop reference, not the object, just a reference that I'm going to create. Import this properties and then store it over here like this. Perfect. And then I'll do one thing, this same prop that we have captured. See, I have two choices. Either you just capture prop.getProperty method and capture the browser name. That also you can do that. But later on I have to use URL, username, password, headless, other things also that I have to use it here, right? So in that case, I'll do one thing. Why don't you pass this entire prop object to this guy, to the initialize browser, and let this method decide that what exactly and which browser that you really want to use that. So in that case, I'll do one thing. I go to initialize browser method, but initialize browser method says you have to give me the browser. So I'll change the signature over here. Okay. So I'll say, okay, fine. You don't need to take the browser name. I'm giving you the complete properties prop reference over here. You take the properties reference like this, and then from this prop reference, what you do, prop.getProperty method that you have to use this. And what is the key? The key is the browser, right? The key means whatever the browser key that you have written, the same browser key means the Chrome will be given back to you, and then it will be given over here. Given over here. So get property method will give you what? A string. So I'll do one thing. If someone has written some space also by mistake in the properties, I'll put a trim, and then you store in a browser name variable that you are actually using in your cross browser logic. So let's see, is equal to this, and I'm just printing it and then using it my switch cases statement here like that. Perfect. So this is your browser name that you have captured, and then after that rest of the things will remain same. But can I remove this hard-coded value from here now? I don't need this particular URL because the URL is actually coming from where? Coming from here. So this is the advantage that you will be getting, that now you just need to use the hard-coded URL. You use this particular prop reference that you are getting here, and simple write prop.getProperty. So what we just need to do is simple write prop.getProperty and then pass the URL. So this will give you the URL. If any space in the URL, if you really want to trim, you can trim that as well. And then after return the page. So what will happen, then it will go back to the page reference, and the same page reference we are giving to the home page class constructor. So that's why we are creating the object over here, and all the page references, home page references and other pages also that we will be creating in the framework. I'm going to maintain these references over here only, so that I can use in all my test classes are directly over there. And then after that, the same page reference will be given to this guy, and then this home page constructor will be called. Same page reference will be given to this, and the same page that I'm using it over here for my other purpose like page.title, URL, text, content, and everything. So let's see whatever the code changes, the basic code changes that we have done, is it really working or not? So one thing what we can do it over here that okay, so first let's run it. It's really working or not. So I'll just do one thing, the simple homepage test.java, right click on it and run as testNG. So we have removed a couple of hard-coded values, and let's see, it's launching Chrome, and yeah, MacBook, iMac, Samsung, and all the test cases are absolutely working fine over here. Perfect. So we have implemented our config.properties as well. Now a couple of other things, guys. If you see in our test here, you can see that actual title is equal to your store, actual URL is equal to this. So first of all, that we can immediately remove this particular hard-coded value, and what we can do, we can use this prop.get property method, right? So this prop we can get it from the base test, but in my base test, this particular prop, what I can do, I can just again make it protected so that all the child classes can use it directly from here. They can inherit the parent properties. So I can simply use the concept of extend base test and then prop.get property. See, it's visible now. Which property that you want to capture? I'll say once again the URL property, and it should be equal to the actual URL. So this is also fine. But what about the actual title that you are using it here? Let's see, for example, your store. Because when you go to this particular application first time, so for example, let's say you go into this application and then here the your store actual title that you are maintaining. So you can mention this particular your store, this particular title in some constant file also, right? So all these are my constant. This is not my exact test data. What I can do that instead of writing the hard-code value, what if some other folks also, they really want to use the same title again and again. So better you maintain a constant file also in the framework. So I'll do one thing under src main Java. I'm just going to create a separate class, and then I'm saying that, okay, fine, these are my application constant. Okay, application constants, and click on finish. And here I can maintain some final static keywords, so that what will happen in that case, first of all, that application constant, I'll just do one thing, make it in a package, not in the default package, guys. So let's create a package over here, that com.qa.opencard.constants, and then move this app constant.java, just drag and drop it here. Okay, so I did not create the package earlier. Now I have created the package, and now you can see under this package, this file is available. And I simply say that public static final, this is a string, and then I'm saying login underscore page underscore title. Remember, whenever you are creating a final variable, means you are creating a constant, and the naming convention should be capital letter with underscore, that you have to use it in the variable name, right? And this is your store is a variable name that I'm going to use. So how to access that? With the class name, because this is a static in nature, and you can simply use it with the static properties can be accessed by the class name. So I go back to my home page test, and instead of writing this your store, remove this app store dot login page title, and that's it. So this is a hard-code value that we have removed, and this is fine. This is your standard data that you are going to search MacBook, iMac, Samsung. Right now, just let it be like this. Don't need to maintain this data, because this is your actual search test data that you are going to use in your test. So this we can use it later on in the Excel file or something. Otherwise, you just let it be like this only. So let's see this is really working or not. So again, right click on your home page test, run as testNG. Okay, so browser is getting launched, and this is absolutely working fine over here. Perfect. All 5 test cases are absolutely fine. So I'm not adding more and more test cases right now. We are just decorating and then minimizing the hard-code values and making the common code, the reusable code, so that we can use it again and again like that, right? Now, another thing is that right now, tomorrow, let's say you will be creating some more test cases like login page and search test and other test cases also, that other test classes also that you are going to write. So we have to create one runner also, guys. So what I'll do, that will be the 9th component, that we have to create the test runner in testNG. Okay, so test runners means your testng.xml file that you have to create. So here we have to create one. For example, we can say testng underscore regression.xml file that we can create that, or you can say that testng underscore sanity.xml file that you can maintain that. So here we have to create one XML file, typical testng.xml file that we used to create in the Selenium framework also, right? Same thing we can create it over here as well. And here in this particular regression.xml file, we can mention, okay, these are my test classes are available. So we are going to maintain those test classes there, right? So that also we will introduce now. So I'll do one thing, just go to my under src test resources, right click on it and go to new, and let's create a separate folder for that. the folder name I'm going to write test runners. And under this particular test runners, I'm going to create a file over here, and the file name will be, you can write testng.xml file, anything that you want to write, but it should be an XML file. I'm going to write, let's see, regression.xml file. And here we have to give the standard testng XML template here. So I'm already having one template. I'm just going to copy paste. Same template I'm going to give you guys also. Okay, in my GitHub repository, I'll push this code. You can get it from there. So I'll do one thing, testng underscore. I can take it from different project here. Copy this. Later on, we will add all these listeners and everything. So right now we are not using any listeners here. So remove that. Okay. And we are just maintaining only one test block. So remove all these guys. We are not maintaining the concept of parameter right now. So remove this. So we have just created one simple test suite that open card test regression. I'll say this is my Playwright suite. Verbose equal to 4, thread count equal to 4 and all such things. We will talk about it later. Not now. I'll tell you how to execute your test cases in the parallel mode. And this is a simple homepage test that we have written. Right? Remove this unnecessary things. And which class is responsible for that? So class that is responsible, you have to give the package name and then dot the class name. So this is the package name, com.qa.opencard.test, and the class name is homepage test actually. Okay, so this class is actually responsible for that. You can see when you click on it, it is actually navigating to the homepage test. So now you don't need to execute the test class again and again. You just need to execute this one. Later on, when we have to add more test classes, we just start creating more and more test blocks over here. So this XML file will behave like a runner file for me, so that we can configure all the classes together here and we can run all the test classes together in a bundle. Okay, as a runner, we can execute that, and then later on we can achieve the parallel execution also. We can achieve that. So let's quickly try that as well. So simple run as a testng suite, and let's see this is working or not. So here, see, absolutely working fine. You can see Chrome browser is getting open, and then it's absolutely working fine here. Perfect. Okay, so later on we will see some more other things as well. If you really want to see on which browser that it should work, so it's up to you. All the cases are available over here, and then you just need to maintain in your config property. Let's see, for example, I want to run my test cases on the Firefox browser. Simple write browser equal to Firefox and run your testng.xml file or your homepage test class directly from there. Also you can execute that. So let's see, quickly check that is it really working on Firefox or not. So you can see the browser name is Firefox, and then you can see the Firefox is getting open. Firefox uses internally, Playwright uses for Firefox nightly build. That's why it's absolutely working fine. Same thing, I can quickly check that. Okay, fine. Is it really working for the Chromium browser or not? So let's quickly check that as well. Let's see, go to, because last time we could not check this logic, right? We just written the logic with the Chrome and other browsers also, but we just checked only for Chrome. So let's quickly check that as well for homepage test. Run as testng once again. This time Chromium browser should be open. So here you can see, yeah, the Chromium browser is getting open. Perfect. This is so perfect. Awesome. Nice. And then we will check with the Safari. So Playwright uses WebKit for Safari. So let's see the WebKit browser is coming or not for Safari. And then again quickly run as testng, and let's see it is working or not. So here you can see, yeah, this is called Playwright WebKit, and then you can see that it's absolutely working fine. And that's so amazing. The results are absolutely coming here. And then what you do, if you really want to see the testng index.html file, right click on your project and then simple refresh, and here you will see the test output folder. Open that, and here your index.html file, right click on it, go to properties, copy the location path of this index.html, and then open in your favorite browser, and then see this 5 test cases are absolutely working fine. And this is what the chronological view. Also you can check that setup method, and these are the 5 methods that you have used. Perfect. And then in the same test output folder, there is one more file will be created, emailable report.html. So go to properties, copy the path of this, and then open in a new tab, and this is a emailable report.html is also coming here. Absolutely working fine. Perfect. So this is what we have seen in the second session today, that we have created the base test config.properties, created one runner file also, And then we have created this initialize property method so that we can read the properties from here from the common file. And then we are using those properties in as the page layer also, sometime in test layer also in my framework. In the next session, we will try to create the next page, that is your login page, or some other pages also we will try to create. And then we will try to add more and more test classes and the test cases. And then we will try to run them in the parallel mode, single execution, sequence execution, as well as the parallel execution also. We will see that. Perfect. So that's all for this particular video, guys. I hope you are learning Playwright properly with the page object model design pattern with the hybrid framework approach. This will help you a lot. I'm going to push this code into my repository also, repository URL. I'll share in the description and the first comment of this particular page of this video. And then you can clone this and then start using it. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for watching Naveen Automation Labs. Please subscribe to the channel. Let me know in case of any issues. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care and God bless you all.